Hey, Tibby, you want Butties? Oh, Butties. For your, for your butt. There you go, bud.
All right, we should be live. We are good to go for today's topic of enrichment.
Um, yeah, so this is more like fun, lighthearted, not so much conservation related. A little bit. We get a lot of questions about how. Oh, that was gross.
That's
We.
lovely.
Oh, that was like right down my back. It was beautiful. Um, we get a lot of questions about how we maintain our animals, the sort of life that we provide them, and what kind of things we do to keep them happy and healthy and enriched. So, this is an example of one of those things where we took an old cast iron bathtub, which is as sturdy as they make them, and it's gross too. Uh, and we placed that in their enclosure, their streaming space. They actually have a huge, like 500-gallon. Um, Actually, I think it might be bigger. That might be like 1,000-gallon tank. Um, but we have that because they enjoy splashing in the water and playing in the water. Not just with the water, but playing with each other. And as you can see, all of the zoomies that entail or that follow. Um, so they're super happy with their. I think they're super happy with their life. Um, so yeah, today we're going to go over just a little bit of the things that we do. Um, from environmental enrichment, which is what you are kind of seeing here. You only see as if you were part of their enclosure. So this is part of the enclosure that we use to stream in, but we try to put as many natural elements as we can here while also kind of maintaining the ability to clean it and make sure everything is sanitary and able to be washed down and that we have decent drainage here because we live in a state where there is a very high water table and drainage is always an issue. So
Always.
just always. Um,
Just always.
so some of the things that we do involve putting down trees so they can gnaw on them, down branches so they can gnaw on them. We have a fairly heavy log here that they like to dig under and hide things in or underneath. Um, are you looking pretty, Wyatt? Um, obviously, we cannot build a lake or a stream here. We do not have one on the property, so this is as close as we can get them in this space for river enrichment. The digging, playing, um, these are all things that we encourage as much as possible. One of the things that I think is, I guess, a misnomer is that just walking your dog, and this applies to all canines, not just these guys. Um, Walking your dog isn't always enough. Same routine, same walk, same length of time. It gets repetitive and boring, and the walk may be more for you than it is for them. What we try to do is look at enrichment as behavior based, so encouraging a lot of behaviors that we would see. Um, like right now, he's trying to bury a piece of fur, doing a very good job at it. Oh, now the
Oh, look at
stick.
it go.
Now the stick. Um, but we look at the behaviors of their wild counterparts, and we try to encourage those behaviors as much as possible. Is that your stick, bud? Hey, baby, what happens if I go to touch the stick? Can you have it? No, I can't touch the stick. It's a very large stick. So this is what I am talking about is looking at behaviors that they might have if they were in a wild atmosphere, a natural atmosphere, and trying to elicit responses from them that mimic those natural behaviors. So playing in the water, being able to bury or not bury uh, sticks or any object that they think is of value to them. Um, and because they are captive, we try to you absolutely have to go to the bathroom, and I know you do. Just a fair warning. That is pacing because he has to go potty. Um, we try really hard to provide them with as many opportunities as we can, so they never get bored. Um, that is always one of our biggest fears: is that they're going to lay around their enclosures and feel like there's nothing for them. Um, we try to avoid that by providing all of the sticks, all of the water. Some of that is social behaviors. And because we only have the two ambassadors, we don't have an entire pack for them to establish a different social structure. So we as humans kind of sub into that and those roles in pack dynamics. So I'm, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say they really enjoy spending time with us. Oh, that's it. Oh, you're gross.
He is
Oh,
so
oh my goodness. Oh my god. Oh, and thank you. Thank you for that. Oh, I know. Thank you. So some of the social aspect, it's between the two of them, right? They are paired together. They're what we would consider a breeding pair, although they're not capable of producing offspring. Um, we try to allow them to have that structure at the very, very least, but throw humans into the mix to see where, uh, we rank and we bond. Oh, that was again down my back. Thanks, Wyatt. That was wonderful. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you. You're not taking it. It's not going to happen. It's attached to me again. Yeah, same as last time. Well, thank you for ripping it. I appreciate it. No, she is very bold and daring today. You ripped my pouch. You don't get to do that too. That's not for you. Can you not now? Can I just brush you instead, please? Can I just brush you instead? Can I just brush you instead? Can I just brush you instead? Well, clearly they are getting hyper fixated on this. So we are going to remove this so that doesn't continue to happen because they are all spun up. Can I get up, please? Thank you. This is the joy of living with these animals.
yeah.
Well, it is something where they will have these behaviors where they're kind of naughty and they do things that they are definitely not supposed to do, but you you can't interact with them like a normal canine in some ways. Um, it's more de-escalating the situation and then providing them alternatives. You're gonna steal all the herbs. Here, steal that one, and let's steal that one. Oh, you want it? Is it gonna make your breath better? Here, there. So other parts of what we do is provide different natural options uh, in the form of herbs, mostly, for them to scent roll on, like this.
Yeah, they love scent rolling on these herbs.
These are the options we try to provide, but we also carcass feed. So that is something they will scent roll in. They also love to scent roll in vomit or poop or sometimes urine. It really depends. Um, oh, now you're gonna bring it to me. Thank you. Um, but yeah, they these are like the nicer smells that we like to encourage. But it still promotes that same species-based behavior where they are taking these scents and putting it on their body. I don't have it. You guys ruin the moment. So uh, just encouraging them to enjoy, have a good time. And wolves in the wild, they will do this, take back scents to their pack. Sometimes it really is a carcass that they've found and stumbled upon. And in order to share that with their pack members, they scent roll in it, take it back to the pack. The pack's like, oh man, that's fantastic. That's dinner. And then everybody goes back to that carcass and feeds. Um, and sometimes it's, the urine of another animal because wolves in the wild are fairly territorial. So if there's another wolf or another predator in the area, they may scent roll in that urine and bring it back to their pack again to notify them that there may be a predator there or maybe an uninvited guest in their territory. Are you happy, Wyatt?
She's loving
Oh,
whatever you
they're
gave her.
they are so spun up right now. I think normally you guys see them when they're fairly docile, but they are as spun up as they're going to get. So, which is also why I removed their little treat pouch and the brushes, because the last thing I want to do is encourage them to get more fixated or more wound up. Um, I could potentially end poorly. Yeah, I did that to you. You're welcome. You smell fantastic. She looks gross, but she smells really good.
So when it comes to enrichment for these guys, there's so many different types that you go through. Like for what you're doing right now is that a sensory?
It is, because sensory encompasses olfactory, so your nose, your sense of smell. Um, so this may also be taste for them. I don't know. I don't know if they enjoy the taste so much as they enjoy doing this. But oh, now she's getting protective of her that spearmint. Maybe spearmint. Um, so this is definitely olfactory enrichment where they get to enjoy that scent and scent roll on that. Um, and it also, it stimulates more social behavior where they're engaging in play and it becomes not a power struggle, but, definitely who gets to have it, who doesn't. So Wyatt had her herb, now Tibby has it. I don't know if you're able to see it. I think they're slightly off camera. Hi, what are you doing? Did you know I have more herbs? Here, what's this? You want this? Is that your favorite? No. So let it be known they are not fans of oregano. Sorry, oregano. Um, their favorites are generally mint, spearmint. They do like rosemary. They do like thyme. Um, and then, there's also manufactured scents in the form of urine that we can put down for them in like a clipping file so they can roll in that. So all of that ties back to sensory enrichment. Um, and then what you're seeing in their enclosure, so all of the branches, pieces of wood, the water, Those are all forms of environmental enrichment because this is their environment and this is what they are used to. So, um, and again, they all kind of interlace and work into one another where it this is the environment that they're in, but this is also partially sensory enrichment. Environmental environmental enrichment can also be taking them for walks, giving them a change of scenery. And we do that with Tibby mostly. Wyatt is not a off-site animal by choice. He has plenty of opportunities to leave the premises, and she actively chooses not to, which is okay. Tibby at around her age was roughly the same. Oh, it is the 18th today, correct?
It
My
is, yeah.
All right. So this is Wyatt's second birthday. She officially turns 2 today.
Happy birthday, Wyatt.
She is actively cleaning. That is what she thinks. Good job, Wyatt. So proud of you. Um, so Wyatt's not very active off-site. Uh, he does prefer to stay on-site. Tibby is more of our off-site animal. Um, he will actively elect to go. We say places. He will actively elect to go places. He will actively seek out, outside enrichment. He enjoys the walks that we go on. So he's constantly or consistently making the choice to leave the premises when we offer it to him. There's only been maybe a handful of times where he hasn't. And there are also times where we restrict him going off site. So during like peak breeding season, when he's a little extra, a little hormonal, we try to, not do that as much. Um, are you licking me? Thank you. I appreciate it. Um, so environmental enrichment could be what they're currently in, or it could be going off-site and changing up the environment so they have different scenery to look at. And like I said, I know Tibby really enjoys that. Or I assume he does because he's consistently making the choice to leave the premises to go to different environments, whereas Wyatt is perfectly happy in homeostasis mode here. Hey, Tibbs, what are you doing? Do you like the environment that you're in?
No.
So all of this is social bonding for them. This is social enrichment, right? So sometimes they get that in the form of brushies, sometimes it's just scratching their butt or their belly or, looking at their rat tail. Isn't she lovely? Sorry, I'm showing
Sure.
off your rat tail. Um,
It'll fill out next year, hopefully.
so when Tibby was her age, he was very similar. Scrawny, uh, hideous tail. I'm sorry, Wyatt, but your tail is not as luxe and beautiful. Um, oh man, he is lactating right now. So for those unaware, uh, females after they go through their estrus cycle, they can go through pseudo pregnancies, and that it results in a adoption of a thing or a person. So she's had several different babies over the course of this last couple of weeks. One of them has been a rag from a stuffy that she obliterated, and then I'm pretty sure it was a stick at one point with Tibby, and then again the other day she decided that I was a baby, and she was very pleased that I was her baby. So it kind of changes it up. But as a result of that pseudo pregnancy, they do lactate a tiny bit. So she is currently lactating. Um, and I'm assuming those belly scritches feel real good to her. Um, so she's extra hormonal, a little, sometimes lovey, sometimes a little bit extra. What was that, bud? You just
I don't know.
happy? You
Just jumping
springing
for the
in the
camera.
air? Do you want the avocado, miss? Do you want to be fritzed? Okay. So, because of the animals that we have, part of their grooming is, oh, do you want it? You don't want it. I know you. You want it? Really? You're not going to bite it. Gibby, you want the spray? You want spray? So I think part of the time he likes being a pretty uh, captive animal because he gets brushies and coat conditioner and he gets his paws Luscious Miracle and little Tootsie Toes clipped and filed. So I think he enjoys the domestic part of captivity in that way. Um, because I think that was him asking for a spray. Maybe not, but he seemed to enjoy it. Now he wants butt kisses.
Oh, the scratches.
Kisses? Do you want a spray? You generally don't like it very much. You do love butt kisses. Oh, dual butt
I know one of the
kisses.
other things that we do for enrichment for these guys is you can see the logs and the cut stumps we have drilled. We drilled holes in them to hide food as a form of puzzle feeding.
Yeah, so wolves are inherently really smart animals. These guys are no different. They're incredibly intelligent. So they need cognitive stimulation a lot. It's not just a matter of tossing them stuffy or a puzzle box and letting them play with it for a few minutes. It's making sure their brains are consistently engaged. So we'll oftentimes remove them from enclosure and they will go and either crate or be in another environment. And we will clean this pen or another pen and hide things, either bury it slightly or create scent trails um, that we can bury and lead them to like a cache of items or a cache of food. Um, and because of the way the branches are set up, we're able to boil just slightly, but boil like a sweet potato pasta, like almost a spaghetti, and hang it on the branches so they get to explore and find. When we have grass clippings out, we try to pile them closer to all of the branches so we can hide objects in there and encourage foraging behaviors. Um, and again, stimulate olfactory senses, let them find a trail that they follow essentially to the end of the rainbow, and then they get a payout for it. So they enjoy themselves quite a bit that way. And some of the logs have holes drilled into them so we can put something stinky and fun in there for them to find. Um, when it's really hot out, it's not super hot today, but when it's really hot out, we'll have big frozen chunks of ice with fruits and veggies and meat. Sometimes it's not ice, sometimes it's bone broth. So lots and lots of fun snackies. Carcass feeding is also one of the forms of enrichment that we do here. It helps clean their teethies, so they have nice clean teethies. And then, or the bone does, not so much the meat.
And a lot of these enrichment activities, they help reduce adverse behaviors like when they pace or they like to do self-destructive behaviors out of either boredom or they're just not engaged enough.
Yeah, so a lot of the times, especially with not just wolf dog owners, but any owner of a high energy breed, you will see them pace or be anxious and display different behaviors that are anxiety based behaviors. And a lot of the time that can be curbed by providing more enrichment in their daily routines. So, and I'm not saying I'm not a behaviorist. I'm not saying that that is going to eliminate all behaviors that are negative, but or anxiety based. However, I would encourage anybody who has any canine or any animal really to find out what enrichment activities are appropriate for that species and start integrating those things into their lives because they really do. They thrive on that enrichment. It makes them easier to work with. It makes them happy. Um, and really, our goal is to make sure they're as happy and healthy as we can possibly have them. Um, so we go through a lot of efforts here to make sure that they live enriched lives as much as they can, since they are captive animals and not quite domestic animals. I'm telling you guys, he really needs to potty. He's looking
He
for
is
a place to go potty. Why are you
definitely
holding it? Why are you holding it? Go potty.
because I'm on camera. I don't want to.
Are you upset because I'm here? Because you don't want to potty when I'm here? So after working with these animals, Tibby for 4 years, Wyatt for two, or almost two now, you get to read their body language pretty well and their demeanor pretty well. So when I say I think he needs to potty, I'm speculating, but it's based off of years of knowing this animal. Do you have like an upset tummy? I feel like there's an upset tummy situation happening here, and that's why he's hesitant to go potty. So you guys may be tuning in for a chocolate waterfall, and I'm sorry ahead of time. You like what I did there? You're welcome.
Yeah.
Are you done, Wyatt? Was that enough for you today? Was it
Just
too
like I
much?
tore the treat bag. I am perfectly content.
She's so happy with herself. Uh, when I say that she's a little bit wound up and a little bit extra, I do think, personal opinion, that is probably due to the level of hormones and whatnot in her system, and she's just a little bit off. And when I say that, I mean right now she's not accepting slip lead, which was what we normally use to walk them on premises. She doesn't want to do that. Um, so being a little bit averse to certain things that she's been perfectly fine with for the entire time we've had her. But I feel like, that's acceptable. I want her to be able to have her moment and let me know if things are too much or too overstimulating for her. And she did. She was upset with the little treat bag and wanted to tear that apart, which means, okay, well, let's remove that from the environment so it's not a distraction and it doesn't keep amping you up. Um, it really is about listening to the animal a little bit more and making sure you're responsive to their needs and trying to de-escalate situations that could be potentially dangerous, as that situation could have turned into hyperfixation where she then tries to remove it from my body by any means, um, which can get dangerous. I think anybody who's worked in facilities like this, um, whether it's a zoological institution or a rescue or a sanctuary, you guys know what it's like to have a situation where you need to de-escalate it. And it's no different.
Especially when it's an object that's attached to you.
Yeah.
Then it becomes incredibly dangerous because you can't simply let go of the object and let them have it.
No, a friend of mine was in a situation where it was a sweatshirt that they were actively wearing that an animal fixated on and decided that it really wanted that sweatshirt. Um, And they ended up getting into an altercation with the animal, and they're fine. The animal's fine, but it is just one of the potential dangers that you face while you're working with animals like this. Because I tell everybody they're cool and I love them, and they are fun to work with, but they're still lethal animals, and that needs to be respected. And yes, I have raised them. Yes, that we have a really good, strong bond, but they're still animals that have their own instinctual habits and draws and drives, and that needs to be respected. Can I prove it?
So when it comes to the enrichment that you or that is done, what kind of impact does that have on the education of these animals and other animals that are, part of the conservation wheelhouse?
Well, when we encourage natural behaviors, it helps us explain to others and the general public what behaviors they're exhibiting and why and how it relates to the animals that are their wild counterparts. So, like I said with scent rolling, you're welcome. Okay, thank you, bud. Um, so, like I was saying earlier with scent rolling, it is definitely one of those situations where uh, it's funny and it's cute when it's in a captive environment. We're seeing it, why it's rolling over on herself, or uh, they're trying to, argue over who gets the piece of spearmint or rosemary or whatever it happens to be, right? But in a wild setting, it serves a purpose where it isn't just a cute, fun behavior. It is so that they can take that scent back to other members of their pack and alert them of predators in the area or potential prey or, carcasses that they have found. Um, a number of reasons, right? So these behaviors, because we do behavior based enrichment, we try really hard to make sure that we can explain why they have these certain behaviors and what they do with those behaviors out in the wild. So, and sometimes it really is just about play, right? Uh, don't think that wolves or other animals in the wild don't just do things for fun. I'm sure they do, but it's uh, it's really cool to be able to explain why they have certain behaviors or exhibiting certain behaviors. Um, Another example I'll give is during the height of breeding season. So Tibby is not intact. He had a vasectomy, which means he cannot breed. However, he still retains all of those hormones. So he thinks he can breed, but he doesn't have that capability. And the reason that we chose to do that was I mean, there were several. Uh, One, we wanted to ensure that there was no chance that he could breed. We're not a breeding facility. We don't want to be a breeding facility. Um, that's just not in the cards for us. But the hormone shift, his behavioral shift when he has that increase in testosterone and um, increase in hormones is significant. And for people who may be observing these animals in the wild and may see them be a little bit more brazen or a little bit more aggressive or maybe a little bit more territorial, it has everything to do with the increase in hormones in that breeding season. So it allows us to explain behaviors that he may be displaying that are a little bit more possessive, a little bit more territorial. We say he's just a little extra. So if he is extra, that is why. And we try to explain that if people are seeing these behaviors in wild wolves, that it's most likely hormone related during breeding season. Um, so there's nothing to be super scared of. Just, respect the fact that they're having a teenager moment, and that's okay. Yeah. You good boy?
Very good.
Do you want this oregano? Do you like oregano? It's gross. Can I safely say that you don't like Italian food? Italian oregano, it's delicious. Buddy, you're missing out.
No.
No. You just said no. It's the same thing.
So, in terms of best practices for enrichment and for continuously improving the enrichment process, what steps can be made for not just us, but for any institution?
Huh. That's a very big question. Um, I think first and foremost, it's deciding as an institution or as an individual that you are looking to enrich your animals' lives, which you should be. I'm not going to lie, I think that is the correct choice for every uh, owner of any animal or steward or caretaker of any animal. Your goal should be to ensure that they are enriched and happy and they captivate, regardless if they're domestic animals or not. And once you decide to go down that path, there are plenty of, excuse me, plenty of resources out there uh, by, better institutions than us and actual researchers and biologists and behaviorists who look at natural behaviors or look at behavioral enrichment, and that is their entire profession. Um, so, looking at the resources that are out there to help you figure out, my buddy, okay, hold on, I have the kisses coming. Well, thank you so much. Okay, can we stop? No, okay. Your brain, shut off. Okay, are we done? Uh, his brain is just, it's done today. I think that was them. You guys got to see how excited and spun up they got, and that was enough. What? Beans? You want more beans? You want me to clip your toes? What do you want? Tell me. Um, so researching what types of enrichment are appropriate for your animals. Um, and again, it'll vary by species, but you, in my opinion, want to go towards more species specific behaviors. So scent rolling is something that wolves do in the wild that all canids really do. So that is a species specific behavior that is appropriate for them, but maybe not appropriate for like a gerbil, you know? So,
No,
so
these guys have very interesting wild um, displays that domestic dogs just don't possess anymore.
I wouldn't say they don't possess. I think that years and years and years of domestication has reduced what we see as inherent, you know, uh, natural behaviors of their species, right? So um, all domestic dogs come from wolves, as far as we know, okay, as far as science is determined. But through the domestication process, we lose a lot of the inherent behaviors. Like, I am not going to set. Actually, you know what? I take it back. Our dachshunds might actually be fantastic hunters. They're tenacious, and they were bred specifically to hunt and go after badgers. So tenacious, tiny, uh, mighty hunters. But let's say a Chihuahua who's probably going to have a real tough time as a hunting dog, probably going to have a real tough time showcasing the same inherent behaviors that you would see in these guys. So domestication has reduced what we see, but it doesn't mean that we can't encourage those behaviors that are species appropriate and
Yep.
provide opportunities for enrichment. Like it is, what is it going to hurt if you try to encourage scent rolling but don't get it? Maybe they're just excited by a smell, or maybe it is. Let's see, they have puzzle boxes and puzzle mats now for domestic dogs. Um, those are always pretty cool. What, you guys missed the time? It's over here. You want it? Want it? You want it?
She is very much like Tibby may not have it. That is not.
Is that delicious? He's more of a time dog, wolf dog.
So what
Flippy
challenges
woofy.
arise from making sure that these animals are enriched?
I think it's just challenging our own perceptions and limitations, right? Um, because I was raised where enrichment wasn't the focus; it was more dominance and control. Getting them
Okay.
to do specific behaviors, train for specific behaviors, um, but not focused on their well-being. And I think that was a really shitty way to go about it, and be taught by other institutions. And that has significantly changed over the years, where many, many, many institutions are now putting emphasis on the enrichment of the animals in their care. But um, as a domestic dog owner, sometimes we forget that our domestic animals need just as much enrichment in their life. So it is time consuming, right, to try to figure out what you want to do and how you want to do it. But if you have an animal in your possession, I feel like you owe it to that animal to do what you can to enrich their lives. So I will give you an example of a non uh, be- behavior based enrichment. There we go. A non behavior based enrichment that we do specifically with Wyatt because she likes it. Is there a bee? You're looking like there's a buzz buzz. Is there a buzz buzz? Um, so when they're inside, that's normally like a opportunity to trim their nails and work in a more quiet environment. So there's not a lot of environmental distractions. So change the environment a little bit, work on different things. And in their room, we have a TV mounted to the wall. And that is purely for me and my enjoyment. But what we have come to discover with Wyatt is anytime she hears the Netflix app starting on the TV, she is like hyper focused on the TV and wants to sit and watch Netflix, specifically horror movies. I think that she likes horror movies because she likes the sound of torture and screaming. Um, I really don't know, but she definitely enjoys TV, which is not something that her wild counterparts are exposed to or have the chance to do. So it is definitely a non-species specific behavior, but it is something that she apparently enjoys, and we will expose her to that. And if she wants to watch TV and watch Netflix and binge, a whole bunch of true crime with me, that's cool. I have no problem with it. Um, so I do think that behavior doesn't always have to be species specific. We just want them to, flex and shine where they can, what we know, but any opportunity. Like some dogs, domestic dogs, really enjoy just being couch potatoes. That's not I guess that's not necessarily species specific, but it could be.
Norma enjoys being a regular potato.
So Norma is one of our dachshunds. We just call potato. We just potate. Um, so yeah, I think a lot of our challenges are just up here. You know, deciding we can or can't, or that we don't have enough knowledge, or that we don't have the training or the resources. Like I got sticks from a downed tree in our yard. This was a tree that we intentionally cut down because it was dead in our pasture. Um, the leaves that are falling from this tree, they have a blast with. The grass clippings that we have are when we clear out our pasture and mow our pasture. So um, nearly everybody has similar opportunities. We just don't think of it. And it really is just a limitation of our own imaginations and our own um, pictures of what domestication looks like for dogs or anything else. Not many folks are going to love it if their animal rolls in vomit or rolls in poop. Really, I don't love it either, but no, these guys are going to do what they're going to do. And that's why we have them, to showcase those natural behaviors. Like Wyatt is eyeing up a pile of poop over here. That came out of your own butt. Nobody needs to know that. Like we all saw it. We thought about it.
So yeah, there's a lot of limitations that people can impose on themselves to make sure the animals are enriched. When really there's a lot of things just even hiding in your backyard that you can introduce to these animals and have them make use of and find enjoyment from.
Yeah, I mean, yes, our domestic dogs and whatnot, they love to bond socially most of the time. We also have Tibetan Mastiffs who are very aloof and independent, so they tend to just find a doorway to lay in. Sometimes they'll come into but it's in their nature to be a guardian breed. That's what they do. So if I wanted a super cuddly lap dog, I would get something that's in the Tibetan, which I did, and I got a dachshund. Um, knowing a little bit about your breed that you have or the animal that you have. Because I have it, you want it. You don't even like it. Um, but we have tons of opportunities, right? If you have an herb garden at home, offer it to your animal. See what they do. They may scent roll on it. They may do this and make a mess. What is that? Oh, that's thyme. Okay, that makes more sense.
So at the end of the day, these animals, especially ones that are in captivity, that are captive bred, having a variety of enrichment for them, do you feel that it is absolutely essential for their psychological and physical health to have these enrichments in place?
Absolutely. How would you feel if you were stuck in your room all day with nothing to do?
Yeah.
Like um, to be fair, we have access to the internet now, so I could probably find endless entertainment in that. I really could. But they don't have that same capability, right? Like they're not Googling shit. They are doing this. Um, so I think when you have these animals, it should be one of your biggest priorities to find out what you can do to enrich their lives. It's going to make them a happier, healthier animal, physically and mentally. You know, um, they stay stimulated, they stay active. They don't express anxiety behaviors like pacing or pulling their hair out or chewing on their limbs. Um, and don't get me wrong, there are other environmental factors that will absolutely cause them to have anxiety behaviors. Um,
Squirrels.
so Tibby absolutely hates squirrels. Um, we had a couple people over the other night, and they were watching him have a moment with squirrels that were in the trees overhead. Nobody believes me when I say he's afraid of squirrels, but he really is. Like he'll look at the squirrels playing in the trees and he'll get anxious and nervous because he, for whatever reason, does not like them. So there are environmental factors that are beyond our control that will cause anxiety behavior in these guys. But again, that's natural behavior. You see wolves expressing similar behaviors, not necessarily with squirrels, but human presence. So you see those same anxiety behaviors, um, just displaced a little bit differently. I think you
Are
guys got
there,
that covered.
so for the enrichment we provide these animals, is there a platform or is there any way for the enrichments we provide to be shared with other organizations and vice versa?
Yeah, so one of the initiatives that Big Bad Project has is called the Big Bad Rescue Network. And it's not just us. This is done in conjunction with folks from Wild Spirit Wolf Sanctuary, from Red Riding Hood Rescue Project, and then a few others who are just active and involved in the wolf and wolf dog community. Um, some of which work at zoological institutions, and some are trainers and focus on care. So there's a variety of us on our steering committee. But we have tried really hard to open source resource library for people, whether it's other rescues, sanctuaries, educational facilities like us, or even private owners. Um, we have some resources available on Big Bad Rescue Network's resource library. You can find links on our website, um, and we're excited to be able to open source that and share that because these aren't proprietary secrets here. These are things that everybody should have the opportunity to look over. Goodness, there's an organization that uh, Brittany Wild Spirit, she's their executive director. She shared with me because we're looking at getting donations of fire hose so we can craft new enrichment activities for these guys. And I cannot remember the name for the life of me. It's hose.
For for habitat?
Thank you.
Hose
Hose
for
for
habitat.
habitat.
That was it.
There's some hose in this habitat. So um, they do workshops and resources, videos available how you can utilize on how to craft different enrichment activities for different types of species. Um, but there's tons of good information out there. A lot of bad information too, but let's focus on the good stuff. So our resource library has some of it. I would love to also link to Hose for Habitat because I think that that's an ingenious idea.
I
And I
think whatever
just,
you did with your microphones, the earpieces, has killed the quality of the mic.
is that better?
Kind of.
Well, we're
It
going to
is
have to deal
better.
with it.
Yeah.
Um, So yeah, there are resources available out there. We have some, but please don't think that we're the sole source. We are not. Um, I know that organizations like AZA, the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, or Zookeeper Association of America, CAA, or ABMA. There's a host of organizations out there that do have more resources than we might, although most are kind of skewed towards zoological facilities. Um, yeah, but I mean, your best friend is Google, right? Like the internet is there for a reason. Search all of the cool stuff. Um, but in terms of what you may already have in your house or at your disposal, I mean, sticks are great, herbs are great. Um, there's just so much. There really is.
There really is. You can find creative ways in order to give them the same thing you would normally give them just by handing it to them. Make it interesting. Get their brain going.
Well, I think that's one of the coolest things is sometimes you don't know what's going to get their attention. Like I said, I had a TV in our room for them, just for my entertainment. You know, sometimes I just like having stuff on in the background, or it's just my preference. I never expected Wyatt to actually have an interest in what was happening on the TV. Tibby
Oh, we
is,
just hit the battery limit.
oh, is it done?
Yeah, we hit the 1 hour, 1 minute mark and it has decided it is time.
Well, then let's wrap it. I am on vacation next week, so I will not be here, but we will follow up in June. And in June, we are going to be looking at stuff that I can't think of off the top of my head. I'm ready to also take a nap. So,
Alright, we're gonna call it there. Thank you for everyone that joined, and we will see you in June for, I believe, is it going to be myths, or are we doing...
so we're doing myths and legends. I'm just not positive in the order of which we're doing them. So I don't want to say like, hey, we're going to do XYZ on June 1st when we're not. So it'll be
That's
a
okay. We
series on
understand.
myths and legends.
Alright. Okay, we will let these guys go to sleep because they are very tired.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Alright. Alright.